Well, we've got us a trailer project this go around. Since our neighbor let us use their gooseneck to haul our old junk trucks, we're going to fix up his other one for him. Kind of a trade for trade. Got some old deck boards that need replacing on this rig. We got all kind of different hardware, so it's going to be fun. This old tri-axle, 3,500 pound axles. Interesting rig. So we're going to put new boards on it. I got a piece of angle we're going to put on this end, so we got some light work to do for him. Overkill much? Never. Alright, we got some random Phillips hardware. I don't know if this is going to get it or not. I'll take that as a no. We got broke bolts everywhere. At some point you just got to start ripping them off with the pry bar. Especially if they're old boards like this. And you'll just take and grind the bolt off. Cut it off, however. Well, that leaves us with some stuck Phillips heads, so we're just going to end up cutting them off. This would be a good time to clean and paint your frame if you inclined to do that. And I'm pretty strict on trash and screws around in the yard. Ain't no use in being lazy. It's kind of hard to find straight boards nowadays, so find you some pretty decent ones. I usually try to put the best boards where you're gonna be using it for a track for like a vehicle or whatever. So in your vehicle path, I'd put your nicer boards down. I gotta pick up some screws, so we're gonna pause for a minute. My attention's going crazy over this tall bahia grass, so I've been gone for a week. I gotta handle that. That's annoying. Get this thing moved to the shade. GoPro app don't refresh fast enough to use that as a backup camera. Well, we got us some shade and it's about a week and a half later. Let's see about getting the rest of these screws out of all these boards. A lot of them are already broken off. Most of the bolts are broke out already, or splitting through the board, or stripped out, so we're gonna see if we can manhandle them off of there. Sometimes you just need a longer pry bar. We'll get all the back boards. Let's move on to the front ones. Get some boards started on there. Got all the screws cleaned off. Alright, before I put any screws in, I like to lay all my boards out and see which ones I got to move around. I like to put the best boards under where your vehicle tires will be running on it. The maintenance reason is find out which boards you're gonna have to throw back at the wood yard. You got that one, and you know, I don't know how anybody would think that worked on a trailer, but we're gonna end up having to pick up at least 2 boards, I'd say. We can probably cheat that one, but shouldn't even been given that. All right, now our old screws were, I believe, 1/4 inch, and they used a T30. With my set, I had to adapt it down to 1/4 inch to be able to use that. And a bunch of those were broken off on the old boards, so we're stepping up to 5/16 size. These are tapered a little bit on the end with, I guess, cutters, you'd say, to start threading it into the metal. They do have some self-tapping style that have wings that drill the wood out and everything. Those are pretty nice. Probably should have got those, but that allows us to step up to a T40. And it'll be less likely to break just from the trailer flexing, which is probably what happened to most of these. You also get a lot more head of the bolt to hold on to the boards. Front of the trailer is going to be held down by this piece of angle iron once I straighten them out. And the back is usually held down with a piece of angle iron. So that keeps the front and the back held down. You don't want to put screws on the very end of the board because it'll make it split on the ends. It'll look like crap pretty soon. Try not to put cut boards in the middle of your trailer, or you'll end up exactly what they had before. A bunch of boards bowed up or damaged right there. Now, you don't need screws on every cross member under the trailer. You're just asking for trouble, honestly. But, you know, I'll probably come in here about the middle and split it 3 different times and put screws across each board. 2 of them, space them out evenly to where it looks halfway decent. Now if you put too few screws, you'll hear them boards flopping on the trailer when you're driving down the road. If that really aggravates you, you can come back and add you some more depending on the cross members. Alright, like I said, this is a 5/16 bolt, so they told me I had to have a 9/32 drill bit for it. I ended up buying a couple. I'm pretty good at breaking them. But I scribed us a line about where we want to be. Probably gonna come in about 1.5 inches from each edge of the board with each screw. We're gonna put 2 per board, and we got 13 boards, so with 3 rows of screws we're gonna drill about 70, almost 80 holes, so it's gonna be a fun time. Suck them down just a little bit below deck height. That'll look pretty good. Make sure you mark your holes right for the cross members. Let your drill bit cool a little bit. Now you might have to get creative with ratchet straps and crowbars to get them all to lay down nice if the lumber quality ain't very good. It's hard to expect much in the way of that nowadays. I got ratchet strap pulling each side. That way we can fit that last board in there good. Had to drive a crowbar in there for that gap. Just try to keep your gaps all somewhat even, if you have any. You'll notice that every time you look at the trailer if you leave a wide gap, so take some care with it. That'll be that part done. I had to jump forward on a couple of holes because They cut that part of the cross member out because it's above the tire and put a piece of plate. So check your cross members and make sure they ain't bent before you start drilling your holes. Alright, we got to shave off about a 1/2 inch worth of these boards to put our angle on. Fortunately, all I got is my metal cutting saw, so we got to wing it with this. Just take it easy. Let's get our angle welded on. Now on this side my angle wasn't long enough, so I had to build me some extra to add to it. Worked pretty good. .110 machine don't work as good when you got about 75 foot of extension cord. Don't know if you knew that or not. She does pretty good. Now once you get your 2 ends welded, I'd suggest adding you a plate, maybe 2. It's not if, but when you're going to tear that off with a bush hog or whatever. So build it accordingly. It will get tore off, so don't worry about it. If you're looking for a welding card idea, I highly recommend this setup. All I did was took a dolly, made a shelf for the MIG welder to sit on. Got 2 shelves here that I'm going to put toolboxes on at some point. Add some metal to the foot, because with that machine it's a little bit heavy for just that plate on the bottom, but it works real good for working outside on rocks and wheeling it around so much. It's good if you ain't got a shop like me. Alright, it was missing a light, so I picked up a light and a grommet. This is one of them side ones you can see from the truck. That'll work. Just got to haul off the boards. I think that'll be it for this rig. Looks a whole lot better. You'll be happy with that. Well, while we're working on trailers, may as well fix our own too. Broke the welds on my trailer jack a while back. Let's get that fixed. boat identifies as a trailer jack too. Alright, we brought the whole setup out here to my meter panel. Got a plug out here. It's way better than about 50 foot of cord and a plug on the other end of the trailer from the breaker. So most people bend their jack this way from hitting something while it being lowered. I did mine the other way with too much weight on it, so they ain't meant to lift the load up too. Way better. Well, that's by no means pretty, but that's the first time that trailer's had a jack handle since we've owned it, so always an improvement. Alright, I was going to show off this tool I've made for pretty well keep it in my truck for trailers, but we got two about 5-inch, maybe 6-inch 7/16 bolts with a nut welded between them. And I just have a mess to get to a 3/8 socket drive. I did that so I could run it in an impact, or I could use an adapter to run it in 1/4-inch nut driver or in my drill. Perfect size for a couple of things. Now some of you may have already recognized what that shape was for, but poke it in the strap. Voila. Try to keep it as short though, I got that one a little bit long. Once you start rolling these 2-inch straps up like that, you'll never go back. Now for its other use. A little bit out of practice, I ain't used my jack in a while. And you can back it up too. Handy. I think I use that more for a service crane than I do digging holes. Alright, next up, we're going to redo this bearing. I have bad luck with the caps, and I've honestly drove a lot longer than I'd like to admit on that. Let's get that fixed. Alright, I went and got a container of gas and some gloves. So we clean all this up. And I have a brand new seal. Took way too long to get the seal out. I ain't never had a seal that hard to get out, to be honest with you. Alright, we got that cleaned up pretty good. No damage to it. Alright, we got us a fresh seal. Pack bearings. That's a fresh new cotter key. Cotter pin, whatever you want to call it. Alright, all I had in my stash is these with the removable plugs, so I'm gonna have to get a proper one. Make a tool to drive them caps on with, but I ain't accumulated that yet. I need to come back and redo the rest of the three. They're still pretty good, but they need a good cleaning and fresh grease put in them. But that'll get us down the road with some projects for now. I'll get a matching cap again. It's getting about time for a set of boards on this trailer too. Got a cross member or two to replace under it. This is actually the trailer that has carried that excavator for several years. I got both of them from the previous owner. We got brand new 225 free country tires on there. Been real happy with those. Those are load range E's there, so 10 ply. Thankfully the excavator leaked so much oil on that over the years. The boards are good where it sits, so we're gonna wait till we got some more funding to replace those boards. But that'll get us done for now. Thank y'all for watching.